We should be good. Just 1 second. Yes.
All right, we would like to go ahead and start calling meeting to order for the Pleasantview Planning Commission meeting September 7th, 2023, 6 p.m. We'd like to go ahead and we'll start with pledge of allegiance, opening prayer, reading or expression of thought, and then we'll you can have all rise with me and join this pledge of
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for you this day for the opportunity as citizens of Pleasantview to be able to come and do the bidding of the citizens. We ask you to watch over us and guide us this night. We will make wise decisions with information that is provided to the citizens. We're so thankful for the citizens, this town, and for the state and country we live in. We ask you to bless our staff members, our fire department, our police, and the armed forces that so protect us to offer us these opportunities to live in this country. We ask you to be with us this night and this evening, and we ask you in Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, first of all, everybody's had a chance to see the agenda for tonight. There is a declaration of conflicts of interest. Does anybody need to declare any conflicts? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move forward with meeting minutes and approval. First of all, I'm going to make a quick note. Just a quick sticky note. You have that very going up and down, or it's just a little lower. Make a note and leave your sticky there so we can help out our staff to give some modification. We have the meeting minutes for approval. Consideration of approval meeting minutes for October 2022, February 23, and April 2023 minutes. I'm hoping everybody's had a chance. We appreciate you sending those out early last week so you have plenty of time. I understand there's already been some adjustments made on the attendance. Are there any adjustments that need to be discussed? One more time on October 20th. I'm excused, but I wasn't on the board at the time. So.
Oh, you were listed in. Oh, okay.
So this is the version I'm looking at. I think that's the most current.
Okay. I will make. If you want to just in any motion that we make, just reflect that change. Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes with the adjustment we just made. It was just discussed.
I motion we make we approve the minutes from October, February, and April with the change noted by Dave, right? Yeah. Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Jeff, a second by Julie. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, we're going to move on to administrative items tonight. Consideration of approval of a site plan amendment at 1590 West, 2775 North, Final 2 subdivision lot 1 to add additional building on property as part of the site. And this is a big site plan amendment. We'll go ahead and turn this time over to staff to give a presentation on that project.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just pull up the site plan. This is essentially an amended site plan or site plan amendment. There's a main building on site. The zone is the MP1 zone, and there's the additional proposed building is for the purpose of storage. The again, this is a light industrial use zone. The lists of the building permits are required. Site plan approval is required. The manufacturer or the current occupant of the site, the applicant describes the company as a welding and machine shop. Welding and machine shop uses are both permitted uses in the MP1 zone. And then there, it also states that accessory buildings, uses in buildings that are customary to a permitted use are permitted themselves. And so the decision was already made for that main use at the time of the approval of the original site plan and subdivision. And what's being considered right now is only the additional building for storage is being proposed as part of this adjusted site plan. So the again, the applicable section of city code specifies that accessory uses such as this are permitted uses themselves. They're not expanding the primary use to do more manufacturing in and of itself. They are expanding it to add storage for activities on site that are related for they've mentioned storage for vehicles that involve and trailers for equipment and items like that. I'll cover that in a little more detail in a bit. The proposed building, which is southwest of the main building, is it meets the setbacks that are specified in the zone. The applicants verified the distance of the buildings from the property lines of 40.8 feet from the building to the west property line and 26.5 feet from the building to the south property line. The proposed height of the building is 18 feet. What I've noted in the report was that there's a 80% maximum hard surface requirement for the zone. The applicant is far below that at about 7.9.2%. So, you know, we're drastically below the 80%. And then the next issue deals with creating a hazard using flammable, explosive, or other dangerous materials. It shall not be associated with noise, dust, odors, noxious fumes, glares, or other hazard to self, safety, and health, which emitted may be discernible beyond the premise. So the on that issue regarding creating hazard, it doesn't state that you cannot store these sorts of materials. It says you cannot create a hazard, and so staff recommendation is that the best way to address that is that the fire marshal work with the applicant to determine how to prevent any hazard from being created from any flammable or other dangerous materials that may be stored in the building. And if any cautionary signs on the building will be needed. The fire marshal, with the amount of detail that he'd been given, he wasn't sure. There is a fire marshal report with a few minor statements in that. And so he's just stated that he can work with the applicant to see if any signs are listed or required to be listed based on, I don't know if it's OSHA, but it's similar type of standards. So, and then again, the applicants indicated that the company's planning on storing trailers, a snowblower, four-wheeler, a plow, and metal materials that cannot be exposed to the elements, which is in accordance with, there's a statement that in this section of the code that states that no outdoor storage, and so this is in compliance with that requirement. And then there is an issue of updated civil plans and calculation for stormwater detention capacity on the site and a stormwater management agreement. Staff recommends that those plans, documents, and information may be submitted to and approved by the city engineer as a condition of approval, just because the percentage of hardscape on the site is being adjusted. It's being proposed to be adjusted. So staff recommendation is for approval of the site plan and building elevations for the OP tanks building additions site plan with the following conditions and corrections. The conditions of the city engineer's review memo,
updated civil plans to adjust the design and capacity of the detention pond on site, new long-term stormwater management agreement to be completed, comments listed in the fire marshal's report. The applicant worked with the fire marshal to determine how to prevent any hazard from being created from any flammable or other dangerous materials that may be stored in the material. And I would just add that is not noted in the written staff report that the additional caveat be added of that last one about the working with the fire marshal, that be accomplished prior to certificate of occupancy for the building. And then any cautionary signs needed on the building pertaining to any dangerous materials if determined by the fire marshal. And then any minor adjustments to the building design location within setback height and other requirements of city code prior to and as part of the issuance of a building permit. Those are staff recommendations. I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, and one clarification. There was just an updated site plan that was submitted to you. The only difference, as I spoke with the applicant, was just that it showed the building. There was no adjustments to the building design or location. They were just verifying that it met the setbacks. So if you want to be clear in your motion that you would choose to approve it, that that's what's being approved. Just for clarification. Are there questions that the commission might have for me?
Any questions for staff at this time? Hearing none, petitioner? Can you come up and state your name and address, please, for the record?
Greg Saunders, Open Tanks, 1590 West, 2770 Utah.
And do we have any questions for the petitioner or petitioner one? Addressing any staff comments? Yeah, I got a quick question. And this kind of plays back to a little bit of what I talked to staff about stormwater management and updated civil plans. Remind me, this is not the best drawing. I don't know if you have a full plot of it. I don't think it shows what the, I don't call it paint is, but you guys cleaned it up maybe with a wonderful addition out there.
Oh, the sandblast area.
Sandblast paint, I couldn't get it when it was.
So-
That's not showing on the layout design, right?
No, it's north of our building.
Yes, yes. I'm just wondering from a staff standpoint, do we need to have that recorded as an accessory building already? So that the civil engineer plans can look at the wastewater, stormwater for the total site.
In relation to that building, there was no adjustments. The stormwater, we didn't add any additional asphalt or hard surface for that.
That's why I'm just asking, do we need to have you drop this road? Do we need to add that on purely for the civil engineer to get their calculations?
If it's for the purpose, if that area has already been permitted, I think that we should stick to the calculations for this building. If there's not any additional hard surface, but I would guess that you could recommend it as a condition of approval that any effect on the hard surface or ability to percolate, in that area, like be accommodated in the detention basin if you choose to.
Any other questions for Alex?
From what I'm understanding, you are using this for your personal storage for your business.
Correct. Yes.
Planning on branding that storage space that it is all.
Yes.
Your equipment.
Yes.
I would appreciate if you guys keep them inside and I love the tanks for it and it's good that you guys really do keep it very nice. So I do appreciate that.
How can you maintain security, but doesn't much damage to them?
Yes. It helps the UK Bailey build that big building. You can't see this.
I just have a quick question. So this section where it talks about like the flammable or dangerous materials, is that just boilerplate or is there a concern that that's going to take place?
No, I mean, the reason why I include, first of all, it's in our code, so, you know, and one of the core purposes of zoning. Code is, and land use, code in the state is to protect health, safety and welfare. The applicant did tell me basically what was gonna be in the site, but it's also a 40 by 50 foot building, and so. I felt like it's in our code, it addresses it specifically, and we're definitely well within the parameters to make sure that there's not an issue there, with regards to health, safety and welfare, you know, I don't, and so.
It's just a generic.
It's just, I mean, it's generic to the zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it's asking.
So this is the main building here, right?
Yeah, maybe,
And then,
Brandon, can you make our bottom of the building show a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes. So yeah, there's the main building.
so the new one is gonna go, maybe you gotta point it out there, we need to point towards.
The new one will go right here. And so now we are not really adding any additional hard surface. And our detention pond is up here. And I have a contract with Civil Solutions. They were supposed to be out last week to do the topo and make sure and everything, but as with everything, he's behind me, won't answer my phone call anymore. So, but yes,
And then the welding booth,
the sandblast booth is right.
the sandblast, okay. Definitely. Perfect. Anything else with the petition? Thank you very much. Okay. Discussion items is commission any thoughts? Thank the petitioner and the company first coming in and getting us ahead of time. And I appreciate it. This makes it a lot easier on the backside, so thank you for that. And that, like I said, the building can clean it up there, which is wonderful. Any other questions, thoughts, discussion items? Hearing none, so I'll try to make a motion, making sure that we remember staff recommendations of approval needs to the new design that we base our approval based on the new design shown tonight. And that we have a fire certificate from that we have approval from the fire marshal if it worked before final certificate of occupancy. And other staff recommendations at this time. And really approving by this time.
That's correct.
Question, wouldn't the fire marshal just be part of the building permit processing, right?
Sometimes it depends on the issue. I mean, there's sometimes when they need to be called in, but I just asked the fire marshal, how do you want to handle this? And this is how he recommended it. So, yeah.
We're concerned, should that be added into the recommendation or let's do rather than this month?
I think most of it is response because it's not really. It would be nice to have it on it, but I don't think it's a mandatory for this project.
Yes, there is no.
But just update the site plan, if you were to do another drawing, I would just drop it in there. But since he said there's no more hard surfaces added, it really doesn't matter.
It's addressed in the engineer's report as well, that it looked like there was some additional hardscape that was on the site. So she said, just make sure that all of that will still work. So I think we're okay.
Yeah.
If I will make a motion for approval of this site plan amendments for OP tanks, with everything that you just mentioned. Is that okay?
New designs,
It's on record.
the new design layout and the prior, the fire marshal has given an occupancy. Given approval before fire certificate of occupancy.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second? Second. First by Sean, second by Chad. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Just keep on growing. Just keep on growing. We appreciate you being a part of it.
Next time I'm hoping I can get the new buildings for sale and thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our administrative items. We are moving along very well tonight. We appreciate everybody's attendance. Remarks from commission or staff, anything from the commission for upcoming meetings, questions for staff, comments on our agenda.
Oh, I can wait till everyone else has had a chance, but I have a couple thoughts.
I was going to express appreciation for giving those minutes out to us earlier.
Yeah. You bet.
Also, really for the beautiful job that you did together.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Make sure John here stuff earlier last year, so late last year. So
Are we almost caught up now?
We're getting closer, so I think we have about 6 or 7 left. I'm trying to balance between getting them to you early and also not overwhelming you. I know that we have 3 or 4, I think, if I recall correctly, that are really close, and then there's 3 or 4 that still need some work, but I'm just gonna, I believe what the last email I got from the person that is working on the minutes that she should have most of them done within a month. So hopefully we'll be able to wrap them up, and I'll try not to overload you, balance between getting them to you soon and not having too many. So yeah, I did have a couple of things. I just wanted to make a point from one of the last trainings that I keep forgetting to mention, just based on the way courts have held and the standard for administrative items, which, so for example, the last one that we just have is administrative item, might be worth considering in motions. And it's less important when you're approving an application, because there's a lot less risk of a lawsuit. Someone's applied for rights when they've had them vested. But it might be worth considering if you make a motion that is to either table or to deny, to state on the record as part of your motions your reasons for denying or tabling it. And the reason being is that the standard that a court generally goes by is the term called substantial evidence on the record, and it comes down to the issue of evidence. And so in the motion, it's ideal to have a statement of, you know, it complies with the ordinance or it doesn't comply with the ordinance, and possibly some detail about how it complies with the ordinance. So again, that mostly applies in the case of denial, but a court would rely on that at some point you know, if it were to go to a lawsuit or something like that, and they would need to know, okay, well, what was the commission's reason for denying it? And so
good suggestion. One of my first chairman, when I joined the planning commission, he trained all of us. He would not pass it on very often unless we specifically said, I'm making a motion to approve this, whereas this needs this, and this. We are, you know, recommending approval or recommending denial based on. So you'd always say, based on the general plan and this and this and this, you recommend. So you'd always say make a motion with a reason behind it. So that's,
Yeah.
need to be reminded of that. Thank you.
yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, what do we have looking for next month? Are we looking for same first Thursday of the month in October?
Yes, so far. I have some training in late September, and so there's a slight chance that I need to talk to Amy and see what her thoughts are, but right now we're looking at the first week in October. I'll send out an email if that changes as early as possible. There's this, I was thinking about it today, and there's a slight possibility I might recommend the 20th. I just don't know. We have a number of projects that weren't far enough along to bring to you tonight. And I'm just in the process of trying to take care of some details so that we feel comfortable bringing them forward. And it's just a matter of balancing that and any noticing requirements for them.
Maybe the 20th or the 21st Thursday.
Yeah, whatever the third Thursday is, I think it's the 20. Did I say the 20th? But yeah.
This is all we stay with that. Get that holiday.
Oh yeah, I think that's the 12th and
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I was just looking it up.
There is this one.
Yeah. One is here. That's it.
School districts.
Oh, school district. Here,
So unless I'm looking at this wrong, the first Thursday is the 5th and then the next is the 19th. That's what this calendar is saying. So
So we're talking October versus September. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at. I think I gave you the dates for September 1st. So in the October meeting, the first day is the 5th. And then the third would be the 19th,
So possibly the 19th.
possibly. But
There you've got UE memorized, one is UE.
oh, yes.
We're also looking at.
Yeah,
I think we looked at that. We did a calendar. Okay, any other comments, remarks?
Could you maybe give us more information or fill us in previously when we had discussed, like the soda shop? We had one extended conversation, I think, on some of those things. I think it would be beneficial if you update us on your end, so that we can be a little more aware of the decisions we make and how they proceed forward from where they are at.
let me see if I can clarify your statement. Are you saying for the purpose of helping you evaluate those decisions like in the future or?
Just so that we know the follow up.
Okay,
Yeah, we pass the project, the city will look at it, they pass it, or they building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be building in the next little while, watch that come.
so I can tell you about the soda shop specifically if you'd like.
Or anything. else
Anything
that
that
they
they improve or whatever else.
Anything
What
else.
happened afterwards?
Yeah,
What does the council do?
Yeah, anything
What's
else
it?
that it's on the city council.
Where is it at? We not,
On.
Yeah.
You know,
where is, what's the progress?
Instead of calling the first reading or.
Progress of these particular projects.
It's fun, to kind of taking place.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, because I think that's beneficial for us to know, hey, if something then goes to the city council and they deny it, why they deny it.
Yeah,
I really there's no what happened in social shopping, but there's not, but the fun thing, we drove here, taking applications banner in front of the place.
They've got a lot to do for that.
That's one thing, but it says all 23 county applications.
They're really being
so on the soda shop specifically, there are a number of conditions of approval that are yet to be fulfilled. Most of them relate to the plat or are tied to the recording of the plat. And so I've been trying to work with the applicant to, say this is what needs to happen. Prior to you need to do these things either before or concurrent with the plat, and they deal with easements that were specified in the meeting. And a lot of those easements need to be recorded at the same time as the plat. And then there are 3 or 4 items that I'm scheduled to discuss with Amy tomorrow morning relating to those easements. It's scheduled right now to go to the city council next Tuesday. So for those easement agreements that need to be approved by the city. And then those are the main things. I need to have a conversation with an employee from Rocky Mountain Power relating to some of those easements potentially, or one of those easements, some conditions. So I think that's the main things on soda shop. Are there any other projects specifically that you are thinking of? Yeah.
Where is that? And where?
So they have, I was in a meeting yesterday relating to that. I know that they're working on some sort of adjusted access onto 2700. And then they have some building permits for lots 3 and 4 and 2, which the commission's approved in a couple meetings in the past. And then they're working on finding various means of getting their infrastructure in right now as well. So
You want to hear more of who's coming?
And of course, have you heard Bernie Burger coming? No.
He told us that last. time.
The taco, what if you get this?
I think it's Rusty.
Is that all in that? In that
It's all on that side, Rusty Taco, Roxbury, Burger, Burger, and cheese. The bird, some is open.
Ruth's Chris too,
Yeah.
right? They'll come as they're Trader Joe's.
No. It's weird, it's kind of-
Yeah.
Is there anything from city council that you would like to update us on before we ask for the adjournment?
You're aware that, the counts, quarterly, we meet with the council members, do with the mayor and Amy, just, current projects that are going on with staff and the city and, conditions and things that we need to be aware of, things that we need to be, that are going to be addressed, that are coming up. So we're really being more, information oriented, being on the same page. And so we just did this week, we all met individually or, two council members at a time, so we can have fun to have those conversations of things, budget items, what's going on with staff, what's going on with, some of the challenges that we have and things like that. So, and we're happy to come and share those with you as well, just so that you can be on the same page, but it's really important that we have those conversations with staff and that we're all united and we are aware of what's going on. We also have, monthly workshop on November 4th, we had to move it back. City council, and obviously it will be warm, so you guys can come if you like. But it's November 4th in the morning, where we're going to address very specific things, long-term goals, short-term goals, budgetary items, things that we want to plan for, and follow up with things that we talked about last time. We do that for the full major one in the fall, and major one in the spring. So that's November 4th.
We love some time.
It usually is at, say, if we get really ambitious, it'd be 7 o'clock, right? No, or 8.
Is that similar to the one that we had?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know about those.
Absolutely. So, and if you're coming, let us know, we can. So, yeah, but that's coming up on November 4th. There's, well, events, there's 2 more food truck events in the month of September, and then our large fall event, the pumpkin for the city, is October 21st. Pickleball groundbreaking will be with our pickleball tournament on September 15th and 16th. They removed the backstop. I didn't know if you noticed that, just to kind of get things going. We're going to go out RFP pretty soon here to the first big, part of the pickleball tournament complex. We're just finalizing some details on that. So, but there will be a tournament. If you haven't signed up for it, because the proceeds, we're still a little bit short of our goal of what we need for, the engineering estimates of what this is going to cost. So you guys know we want to owners send them our way. But we've been working hard on that. So, that Trans Monument, they had to drill down. Did you hear about that on base? No. But somehow lost in translation, the people who donated stone monument or whatever, I don't know how that happened. The original footings on the base for the clock. And the granite base couldn't hold the clock. So PJ Bailey came and raised the granite to find for sure what was under it. And sure enough, there was some footings, and so they removed it. So they're going to drill down and place some things there so they can put the base back and hopefully have the clock in. And then the whole front is being revamped, with tearing out the pictures and stuff and putting up the retaining wall for that. That's what we're going to do with the favors and stuff for the donations, things like that. So are they still taking donations? Yes, favors. Double check with me. I think we're kind of holding just for a minute. I think in the future, absolutely, but nothing, if you make a donation now. And it won't be done for a while, because we're probably looking at a different provider for those, for those favors and stuff. Just moving forward. But so that's coming soon. Hopefully by the October we will have that completed and then finally can dedicate that. Hang on, there's. Oh, I don't know if you noticed, but the city installed permanent lighting, jellyfish lighting for the building. So I don't know if you guys want to know all these things. If you want to. Yeah, I think, the project on 800 West, if you're curious about when that's going to be done, it's going to be done at the end of Sorry.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I had one other item I wanted to share, which was just relating to training. So we should have met our 4-hour requirement. That's a state requirement. It's not coming from myself. It's something that the state has mandated as part of participation on a planning commission on an annual basis. So it's 4 hours. If you attend all the meetings, then you can have 1 hour of that waived to down to 3, but it's something that the clock starts over at the beginning of every year. So what I'll probably do is, since we have the 4 hours, I'll probably send out like either a form or just ask you to email me back and state that you have either attended those 4 hours, or like I know that Jeff went to the APA conference in Vernal. We also have the one in Ogden coming up in a couple weeks. And just state like I've attended these trainings or whatnot. I can also, what I'll try to do is provide you links to the audio if you weren't at those training meetings. I can provide you links to the audio that we've posted on the state website. You can listen to audio that way, and that is a way to catch up and meet the requirement. It's pretty broad in terms of what's accepted. So, and then we'll just probably need a statement saying that we've met the 4-hour requirement for the year, and we'll be good. And we're in a good position to be in the beginning of September. Still got 3 months, so the requirement's been met in terms of providing it, and then if you have to catch up, you've got a couple months to do it, and then we'll start next January to do the next 4 hours. Yeah. So.
Can you give us the basic overview that you have any changes coming up in a couple weeks?
Oh yeah, I know. Let me see if I can find it in my email.
September 28th.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I have a different training that I've been working on coordinating, so I haven't been paying as much attention to that one.
Okay. We'll take a motion to adjourn the night. A motion, got a second, all in favor, say aye. Did you first? Okay, I thought I was just saying something about it.